So I had this wildly entertaining dream last night, and I just wanted to share it because it's so damn good in terms of dream interpretation and my own myth, my own experience. I've been working actively for years now on my personal dream interpretation and lucid dreaming because it's my primary gateway for gathering information and retranslating my own experiences, working through, and it's so many people's, but it's an active one that I use as a meditation to clear, activate, and shift things. Anyway, this dream was so great in terms of stupid interpretation. I was like, oh my God. Because you can sit there and look up symbolism for all kinds of things. And I love that because I am a total myth head. I love myth. And but the fact is that you have got to know yourself, and you've got to know your personal activators, and you really have to pay attention to what it is to get your spirit going, get your passions activated, and in a space of really knowing who you are and what the symbols are in everyday language. Anyway, so this stupid dream I had is so good because I've been working actively for like the last year of deeply following as a meditation of falling in love with my brain. And I've gone through all these different organ systems over time and worked on these different aspects of self, and then I was like, well, we have such a tendency in mindfulness practices and in the Eastern cultures to say killing off the ego and not respecting the brain, which is what the ego really is. The brain creates labels, and a label is an identifier, or as Eckhart Tolle would say, a signpost that points you in the direction of identifying something. Well, that's consciousness that is considered ego, and I believe there's a mistranslation from Eastern to Western thought on what that really is. Anyway, in the dream space, so I've been working on this relationship with my brain, and about a week ago I was sitting there and I was like, man, my brain is so, and this is all of your brains. I mean, but they're crazy. They're so powerful. I was like, it's so big. It's like the Matrix. And I was like, I can't have her code me anymore. I need to code my brain. And of course, it means so many different things, different people. But anyway, this is in my personal journey. The ways of doing that. Um, anyway, I have a very active go, do, task, got to take care of this brain. And a lot of people do. I call that the dog brain versus the opposites. Uh, anyway, this dream is so good because what happens is in it, I'm walking into a building, and as I'm walking into a building, this female demon is walking up towards me. So she looks like she's in human aid form, but she has no face. And she comes up to me and she has her hand out, and her hand has 6 fingers, and all the fingers are equally distributed. And she comes right over and she's like, right at me. She starts saying, I am the becoming. And she puts her hand right on my forehead, right? And is planning on taking my vital energies and sucking them into her. Of course, like I said, she has no face here. Um, but says, I am the becoming. And so in my myth, the becoming aspect is the constant growth of the tree of life for the brain. And I explain this all the time in a metaphorical space. So as the tree of life expands, the brain is always seeking growth and expansion because that is its own space of consciousness and expansion. Because spirit is in a state of immersion. It doesn't need expansion. This is a learning ground, this earth, this brain, which is our tool on earth, in form, that is, material form. Um, anyway, so she says that, and I'm like, oh yeah. I was like, oh. And I'm like, oh well. And I just start singing and dancing and going, not gonna get my brain, or not gonna get my head, not gonna get my, well, I didn't say brain. I said, not gonna get my, I started dancing around, and she's trying to put her hand on my head, and I'm like, not getting nothing from me. And I've been playing playful with her right there, dodging her hand. Um, and I said, you're just getting cookies and cream ice cream. And like I was feeding it through my blood, and I was like, oh my God, I know what this all means now in reflection. And so that was that stupid. And so then she gets a face after I said what I'm going to give her. And so for me, the brain needs blood to feed new neural connections, right, for all of us, for growth and expansion. And I was like, I'm not going to give her what she wants to play with. which is I'm not going to feed her thoughts the blood that I need in the rest of my body and my spirit, and all these other spaces for recovery and focus and keeping on task of what I'm trying to accomplish now. So I was like, I'm going to give her something that is not nutritious to her. That's where the cookies and cream stuff comes up. And anyway, and the six fingers, which is so cool because this is in my myth and in real science, Metatron's cube, the transformation chamber, the six-pointed star, the chariot of fire, the atomic symbol, all the same things in any translation. The six fingers for her was the engagement plate in the brain of the CAMK2, the protein that causes phosphorylation that looks like the six-pointed star in the brain. It's the engagement protein that goes and locks down on the microtubules, basically your motherboard, and helps imprint and encode permanent data. So for me, her hand was a symbolic of the brain just trying to fire the synapse, engage and lock on my microtubule and say, hey, task this, do this, this is how we behave. And I wouldn't let her tell me what to do because I wasn't going to let her code me, right? So then I consider, then I'm going, and it was so funny because then she's interested in me because now I'm kind of playful with her, and she's like, oh, you're giving me this? So she got a face. So then she identified her persona. She wasn't this beast or this demon. And then then I was like, what? She says something about, she starts talking about her breasts, and she has her 4 breasts, and I'm looking at her and I'm going, you have 4, I only see 2. Where are your others? She goes, my brother, he has 2 breasts also. And I realize now I have her completely off task, like you can distract a dog. And I'm entertaining her. I've got her off task, entertaining her. And I'm like, oh, I want to see a photo of that. And I'm like, do you have your phone? And so she goes, and all of a sudden she has a phone, this character, this demon. And she starts, oh yeah. And then she pulls it out and starts to go to show me photos of her brother. Because her brother, right, which for me would be the masculine in the left hemisphere and the feminine in the right hemisphere, that the aspect of self, and I haven't thought about the 4 breasts yet. That just might be because I like dumb things and it's entertaining. But anyway, that it matches all these aspects of yin and yang, the feminine and the masculine, and all this myth. But it was cool. It was so cool because I realized in my own myth something I needed to troubleshoot, which was I needed to, of course, diligently say, this is how I'm going to use my energy and my time and my brain, and I need to distract my brain with things that are entertaining to it, and I know this, but I need to do it when I'm trying to make a task list. You all look at your dreams, look at your interpretations, and just analyze the myth and metaphor and know yourself, and you will get the best translations for your dreams as you can find. It is some fun stuff. Anyway, I had to share. Thanks for participating in this kind of entertainment.